parents, when they see like the kids run up to the equipment, they be like, no, 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 don't touch. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, they're kids. Let them see. What if he breaks it? Trust me, he's not going to break it. I'm right here. He could spin the turntable if he wants. He could do this. Are you sure? I'm perfectly fine. Because there's something in that little kid that made him run it.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Was that your full-time job?
Sustainable.
So during the good times, and I call this, Kathy could tell you, my wife, she could say, he had a summer full of barbecues. I was on unemployment at the time. KB Toys. They're not around anymore, so I could say whatever. I was on unemployment on the time. I went to school, I graduated, and I'm like, all right, well, let's just go full steam. It is what it is. I got money coming in a sense. Let me just record. And when I was recording my, the first singer to come down, and I always give him, Hainer, I give him a lot of credit because it was the first time that he really kind of stepped into the booth. And when it was done and he heard himself on CD, like, he didn't even pay me to do. I was energetic and ready to go as always. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I jump the gun a little bit. Before you guys could tell me to edit something, I'm like, I'm already going in and I'm excited because I could hear what I can make it become. And when I could hear that, I'm like, oh, this is going to sound amazing. So boom, boom, boom. A couple of days later after he's recording in the booth, they're like, oh, well, can you do like a demo out of it? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I could definitely make like a demo. It's going to take a little work and da. But I already had the work done because I was already excited. I just wanted to see what I could do. And when you're doing something like that, it's
you're playing with a new toy is what you're
doing.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah.
And I've seen you when you get new toys in here, it's automatically you got to test it out, got to try it out.
Well, you got to, you guys know microphones and all this stuff cost. They do cost a good amount of money. And it's not like a pair of shoes we could just go and return or something like that. So when you invest your money in something, you really want to make sure you know how to use it.
Well, I have this thing with my children whenever they get a new electronic or something, I throw the manual at them. I'm like, read that. I'm like, why you got to read the manual? And I said, because if you read the manual, you will be able to use that to its fullest abilities.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to use one or two options on it, and that's all you're going to do. But with reading the manual, you know everything. So playing with, I get that. I'm breaking your chops.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. But you get a new toy, you want to use that thing to its fullest ability. So did he end up paying you for the demo?
Oh, of course. Of course. At the end of the day, when you're creating something, and I tell people all the time, you get a little nervous sometimes because you're getting feedback from people and you got to remember that you really kind of put a part of yourself out there. So I think to me, the only moment that gets scary is when it gets quiet. So like you create something and I give you something that you really like. So what do? You take it and run with it, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, this is awesome. I got what I wanted. And then you leave and like, I'm waiting for like a call or a text and I'm like, did they like it? I hope they like it. It's been let me just follow. And they're like, oh, we loved it. It's already posted. We're already sharing it. It's already going out. I'm like, you could have just said, I like it. Yeah,
thanks.
A little bit, like
good job.
Just let me know. But that's part of the creative process. That when you're releasing something, you have to just kind of be like, oh, okay. Like sometimes you have to wait a little bit. But I am blessed to say that everything that's been released, everything that I've done, that I've been a part of, the project itself, when it came out right, the feedback has always been like, wow, that was impressive. Wow, that was great.
So you were riding high on this first demo right out of the gate.
Oh.
Silk City is not around anymore.
Silk City, I always maintained the name.
Right.
I've always maintained the name Silk City Pro because it's a part.
Right.
So.
Did it?
No, things changed. You're talking about Silk City, and here goes the age thing. You're talking about Silk City. The music that I was releasing at the time was like on MySpace. Oh. It was like MySpace music.
Tom was listening.
Tom was listening. I was getting plays.
I had the most friends in the world.
Yeah, listen, right. I had a song, for the video, Since You've Been Gone. Since You've Been Gone on MySpace got a lot of plays. So I sat back and I was like, oh, this is happening now. Mm. And I was calling, I had my friend Jack. He was my...
Wait, you got a friend, his two first names?
I have to call him Jack.
Okay. Is that from Incredibles?
No, it's funny, and he probably doesn't even know this. His musician name is Jack Ritt, right? But the moment we met each other in New York, in order to kind of like click with him, I was just like, oh yeah, no, I know you. You're Jack. It's like Jack Jack, and here goes out. This is how you know I have kids. Cinderella, the little mouse that ran around, red hat.
I have
Like,
two
oh, Jack
boys.
Jack. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it happens. But Jack Jack.
Kevin watches Cinderella.
I
The
watch
boys don't.
Cinderella.
Okay,
She's hot.
Cinderella, right? She had to make it to the ball, but Jack Jack, and so it stuck with me. Jack Jack, the Incredibles, Jack Jack,
Mm.
and he just stayed.
So when did
We call him Drew Drew.
Drew.
did you have any other successes past that first one, or did it?
Oh, listen,
go down?
there's. It may not. I'm always, and people do, when you inquire, you ask a little bit, you learn. Listen, originally I was supposed to be scheduled on a reality TV show that was happening at one time. New York Puerto Rican Day Parade. That was probably one of my favorite things to do. That's a long parade.
Mm.
If you're ever in a parade, that is the parade to sit there and be like,
A lot of Dayglow colors in that parade. I've been there.
I was like, I need more water.
No, that's
All the water.
the Dayglow parade that you went to.
that
A little bit different.
was a rainbow parade.
Rainbow parade.
Shout out to Nick and Mark. That's right. They'll take me there. I'm going to be the
Especially Nick. Shout out to Nick.
Be
But-
Grand Marshal next year.
Yes, I've been to Puerto Rican Day parades, and it is ultra festive.
Yes. So imagine going from start to finish on those. And most of the time, because of, I needed to make sure that at the same time I was able to be seen. So most of the time on it, I asked the guy on the float while I was moving if I could jump on the speaker. And I like jumped on the speaker and rode the whole time in the New York Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it was like,
It's because he's short. He had to get up high.
I had to. But you know, it's a moment. So I'm proud of everything that I've accomplished and everything that I've done. And whenever I write new songs or write music or do things like that, I release it and people are like, oh wow. They're always surprised. They're like, wait, you can rap? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't it? It's just like, you just don't. I'm like, you've never heard me then.
When this was only audio, you were strictly doing audio stuff.
Strictly audio, yes.
All right. So when did Silk City go away?
When did Silk City kind of fade?
And was that a big blow? That had to be a big blow to your ego because you thought this was
It's
it.
your baby. You built it from the beginning.
Yeah, when Silk City kind of settled down, I'm going to say settled down a little bit, it was more with the realization that I got tired of being what I call the around the block rapper and the around the block artist who was just kind of good in his town.
Mm.
And I was just kind of like, once I started understanding how the industry really was, I was just kind of like, I really like writing songs. I really like writing music. I could do this internationally if I just focus right. So stop fighting to get Silk City out. Nobody knows what Silk City Pro is. Focus on just getting your artist name out. Doing shows. Focus on that. When did it really kind of calm down? I think I had to slow down a little bit because realistically, I push my priorities in order. If you listen to most musicians, when they talk about their music career, it kind of goes backwards, right? They'll hit the music, they get big, and then they're like, all right, well, I'm a father, but I'll catch up to being a father later. I could never do that. I was like, I'm always going to be a father first, regardless. That has to be my priority. And it's funny because we just did Dad Star.
Mm.
So I'm sitting behind the board and I'm like, yeah, that has to be a priority. And I was just like, no, but this is, I want to be there.
What it sounds like, and to take a lesson from Derek's book,
Yes.
is you knew what you wanted to do,
Yes.
and you knew the path that you had to take,
Yes.
and it's just, this is what I have to do to get here,
Yes.
right? But you also have this child that
Yes.
came into this world.
Yes, I was a young father, 19 when
You're
I
Puerto
found
Rican,
out.
that's
yeah, bunny. I was a bunny in high school. I say it all the time. I hopped around.
19. You were old for a father.
19. Oh, I missed my
What'd you
mark
wait
by
so long
3
for?
years.
There's grandparents 19 years old in Puerto
Listen,
Rico.
I was very, very only
I'm just kidding.
Only in Puerto Rico.
I'm just kidding. They're at least 26.
He's good on the island. Don't worry, he's good.
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things where, once you become a father, and I started working like with my daughter, and you're one-on-one, hands-on with them, and then around the same time, I meet my wife, and it's everything. All this magic happened. I had Angelica, I had Jalen, and I've never really felt like there was a rush for my career. Some people give a time span. They're like, oh, well, you're hitting this age. I never felt that way. I've always felt like if you really love to do something, you're going to do it either way.
It's going to always be there.
Yeah, there's a passion that's never going to stop. Like you're
But now
always,
you have a different passion in your kids.
oh, my kids. It's the funniest thing. It's crazy because my oldest, she could sing if she wanted to. my little one, my Jalen, she's into cheer and she's moving. I saw my son. I don't even know where he got the breakdancing from, but we were at a party and he's like on stage spinning and doing circles, and I'm just
He's
like,
in the garage looking for cardboard.
yeah, and I'm just like, you missed it by about 40 years, but
Let's go buy him a pair of shells. He'll be all right.
Hey,
yeah,
okay, it'll come back soon. Yeah, everything comes back.
It'll come back around.
Breakdancing will come back sooner or later.
Yeah, but when you watch it and you're like, oh, and then we would play with him on turntables, and when you see your little guy run up and he grabs the turntables, and all of a sudden he grabs one ear and he's like, this, and I got him, and he's just playing, and that's one thing. Like whenever we go out, sometimes parents, when they see like the kids run up to the equipment, they'll be like, no, don't touch. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, they're kids. Let them see. What if he breaks it? Trust me, he's not going to break it. I'm right here. He could spin the turntable if he wants. He could do this. Are you sure? I'm perfectly fine. Because there's something in that little kid that made him run and do that.
You're also encouraging the behavior that you want. Obviously, being so passionate about audio engineering, you want your children to follow suit.
It would be great if they did, but they've already told me on more than one occasion. They were like, "Dad, that's you."
Yeah.
I've asked. I was like, "So what are we doing?" And James I was like, "I guess the son, you."
Yeah, let them go out and find
Hey,
their.
you just want to come to the studio? No, Dad, that's all right.
It'll be here for.
Meanwhile, they got TikTok 2,000 views and all this other stuff going on every week. I'm like, Jesus, you girls.
They'll come back around.
They will.
They'll come back around.
They're at that 16, 17-year-old mark.
They know
They know everything now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with Google, though, they really.
It's not too far.
We had to figure it out on our own.
You got to go to,
now it's a click of a button. You can figure everything out.
Common sense is like, well, that's not what Google said. I'm like, well, did you check your source? I tell them that now. I'm like, check your source. But it's just Wikipedia. That's not an accurate source. You could create whatever. I'm Batman on Wikipedia. What are you talking about?
With Silk City, and even now, you're a creator. Yes, that's your love and foremost in everything. But you're also a small business owner.
Yes.
Okay. With Silk City, you're a small business owner, and that comes with its own brand of suffering. You got to keep the lights on. You got to pay this. You got to pay that. You got to bring money in because you want to make this your career.
Provide for your family.
Now you got to become business savvy on top of learning all the audio stuff. Was that a hard transition to learn the business aspect of it?
So, fun fact, immediately after high school, I went and got my associates. So I went to Berkeley College. I was immediately swamped into. I was taught business first. I already knew how to write songs and how to perform and do all this stuff. I was taught business. And I understood when I was looking even at people around in the industry, I'm like, the math doesn't add up. Somebody's doing the numbers wrong. Because I could sit there and I could see that. And you guys know when it comes to numbers, I'm pretty accurate. I'm pretty on point.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, when the numbers don't add up and the math doesn't add up, that's when I kind of step away from things. Because I know that something's not right. So the business aspect of things. So for example, and just on the topic of music, I'm going to say it like this. Most people want to get a hit song on the radio or a hit song on TikTok now, right? Oh, my song is trending. Da, 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 da. That's great. That's not really where you want to get a hit song. Do you guys know where you should really get a hit song at?
On a commercial? On the Tonight Show?
In fact, Elvis, the movie, Doja Cat has a hit song that's on that. Okay?
Actually, you know what song made the most money in the world?
Which one?
I'll give you the artist. The artist is Paul Anka.
Paul Anka. Okay.
You know who Paul Anka is?
I have an idea, Paul.
He wrote the theme to the Tonight Show.
Oh, okay, to the Tonight Show.
Johnny Carson Tonight Show.
Actually won the most on it. Titanic, My Heart Will Go On.
Oh, by Celine Dion.
Do you know how much she made just off of that?
I can't imagine.
I'm sure she get royalties every time the movie plays, too.
People,
so every time the Tonight Show played, Paul Anka got a royalty. Yeah. Every single night.
And probably reruns.
Yep.
So every single time. So that's where one thing about the industry, even now when I'm talking to younger artists on the come up, and they tell me, oh, I got this, I got that. I'm like, your songwriting abilities that you want to have. First off, you got to kind of get the pride out of your way. I was like, because you have to learn how to really write a song. They think, oh, I got a verse, I got a chorus, I got it. No, you need your bridge, you need to space it out. There's more that you need to do. You turn around and I'm like, now, if you could get into a movie, when Hangover came out and Flo Rida had that song, You Spin My Head, the remake, right?
Yeah.
Paid. Every time. he's going to be paid.
Think they'll pay for my intro to?
I was going to say.
They
it's
will.
time for the
It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Right,
Get
so
your
the-
ass down.
The Suffering Podcast, the movie, in theaters 2028.
Listen, when that film comes out, when they do
could
the
make a movie about
They made Strange Brew with Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah.
listen, you
Or
guys get
Dumb and Dumber.
you're gonna have a Netflix series. You're gonna have a series on Netflix that's gonna turn into a movie. You know, Netflix only does for 2 to 3 seasons. That's all you get.
That's fine.
So you're gonna get about 2 seasons. 3 seasons the most.
Camera's going to follow us around to Florida again.
And then afterwards, guess what you get after you get your 3? Then you get a movie.
Yeah.
No, we could just set up cameras in the production room.
And we can make a whole movie just
Make a
off of that
whole
right
movie
there.
just in there.
Whole movie just like
Showing
that.
each other Instagram posts.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Animated though. We're gonna do the whole thing animated.
Yeah,
I might have a filter on it.
That's Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it just goes. But so that's one of those things you learn, right?
Right.
Nobody told me that when you walk through the door. Everybody tells you you need to get downloads or CD sales or this other stuff. Nobody told me that.
You know, going to college the way you did for audio engineering versus on the job training.
Yes.
In your opinion,
Yes.
what is the more valuable education that you had?
For when it just comes to recording.
Just audio.
When it comes to just audio, honestly, being out there on the field training, there's nothing. Listen, you could read the book and all that other stuff, but when you're all of a sudden caught and something's not going right, and you're trying to remember all those
Yeah.
texts and everything, it doesn't.
But, you know, and we said it about law enforcement. The police academy gives you the basic.
Right.
Yes.
You know, it gives you the basis, I guess you could say, for your career. You got to learn every day on the job.
Yes.
Correct. I used to the thing that, and I don't know if it's the same in your industry with police work. Used to have a lot of old veterans that used to come and say, "Well, you know, you don't really know this job until 5 years."
Yeah.
The smart older guys would say, "Here's what I think. You have so much more book knowledge, current book knowledge, than I have, being a 25-year veteran, because it's fresh in your mind.
It's new to you.
I
yes.
have experienced stuff. You'll get to where I am. But in the meantime, let's learn from each other." So guys coming out of college right now, girls coming out of college right now with that audio engineering degree,
Yes.
you can learn as much from them as they can for you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The industries, listen, there are things I learned in that school that honestly I wouldn't even want to do right now. Not that I can't, like make a microphone cable. I can make a microphone cable. Do I want to make a microphone?
They're $10. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why'd you waste all that time?
But if you're in a situation where the mic's not working right and you
Right.
have the tools and the problem is the cable, and let's say for some odd reason things around you are closed, now it's going to be tough breaking out a soldering kit,
Mm.
but I
But-
could slice the cable and resolder if I needed to.
Right. You know, and it's good to have that knowledge. It's a just in case thing.
And it's just
You know,
in case.
And I'll take it back. So I had a summer job. One of my favorite summer jobs for many years was putting up swimming pools.
Okay.
And we used to make more money off of people who tried to put up their own swimming pools because they would always be screwed up. So you're not paying for perfect conditions. You're paying for when things go wrong. You're paying
Yes.
for experience.
Yes.
That's when somebody comes to you with their audio issues.
Yes.
Anybody can, especially with the new phones now, anybody can record anything on their phone.
Oh, yeah. They're making hits all the time. Just
And you can filter it, you can put
Add
echoes,
effects.
you can do all sorts of different things with it. But that's perfect conditions. If you want it to sound professional, then you have to go to somebody like you.
yes.
At what point did it start transitioning into podcast work?
Into podcasting. The way it all started was I used to do Coffee Time Live.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which is still going on,
Still
yeah.
going on, right? Coffee Time Live, I was doing it every day when I got to the job beforehand. That's how it started. I would go in there, and before my shift started, I would start maybe 5-10 minutes doing Coffee Time Live. After I do about 5-10 minutes Coffee Time Live, I would start my day, I would get feedback, all this other stuff. It's great. Still doing Coffee Time. And then when me and Marv hooked up. doing
Marv
this
the
thing-
producer, I'll
Marv
give
the
him a shout
producer,
out.
I'll give him a shout out to Marv the producer. We kept on doing Coffee Time Live. We were just and then we created a different show and all this other stuff. And we worked together really well for a while.
Well, so there's a big difference. There's
Yes.
a big difference. And
Yes.
this is not a knock on Marv because I don't know Marv.
Yeah.
But I do know people who record at Bravery Studios.
Okay.
I do know people who record there. And I'll talk to them and they'll tell me, "Oh, he's great. He does this, this, and this."
Yes.
The thing I'm not telling them is all the extras that you do here at A&J Media. Like there's a lot of extras that you do.
Yes, there's
You're a very service-oriented studio.
Because he's like meticulous. You know, Drew's meticulous in what he does because he's putting his stamp on it. You know, so he wants us to succeed because of us, but also because of him.
Sure.
it's not so much as so that's like a difference, right? So you could see where the talent could really go, you know? And every single time I worked with plenty of great podcasts, and I'm like, well, maybe if you guys do this, some people listen, right? Some don't. That's okay. But I always look at it from the listener's perspective, from the viewer perspective. Let me take a step back. Let me see what they're seeing. And then how can I make this like full on engaging? How can I make this even hotter than what it is?
Mm.